So, Dennis, since you're going to be our lucky contestant for our amazing hot seat, what we're going to be talking about today is creating sustainable habits, right? And
Okay.
Dennis, you and me have been, known each other for what, 4 years now? Maybe longer?
Yeah, I'd say probably about 4, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, like in the midst of the past 4 years since you and I have known each other, have you been through any kind of challenges?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot, okay? And like in the midst of those challenges, let's just say when you first got signed up, man. Hey, let's actually go down memory lane, okay? So when Dennis got signed up, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Remember this was 4+ years ago.
Yeah,
Dennis, I believe you were 275, maybe 285, maybe even 290. But I
I was
remember,
290.
okay, it's 290, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, either borderline or just type 2 diabetic. I just remember that.
Yep.
And during the midst, I think within 6 months, you got down to 200 pounds, got off all of your medications. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So now with that being said, everything that you did within the first 6 months of inside of our coaching program that helped you lose all that weight, that helped you get off the medications, and in the course of where we are in the present moment right now, probably, obviously you got a, opportunity, right? Career advancement at your
Yep.
job, right?
Yep.
Changes in the family, changes with the lifestyle, all that stuff. Would you say that the habits that you were doing before are exactly the same as the habits now? Or would you say that, hey, since life has been throwing us some storms, some curveballs, just different season of life, they're different now?
I'd say they're different.
Perfect. I was really hoping you would say that because if you say no, like they're exactly the same, I'm like, all right, we got to find somebody else to put in the hot seat. So now what I want to do with you guys, and like I said, I did this and it makes your life a lot easier, in my opinion. Okay. In my opinion. So when it comes down to being consistent, because if we had to take a look at everything when it comes to us progressing and reaching our health and fitness goals, guys, it is as simple as this: consistency. That's it, right? Like, put it to you like this, okay? There's great workouts that you can do, like, hey, squats, deadlifts, the whole 9 yard, right? Great exercise. But do you need to do that? Realistically, not. Do you need to run half marathons and do all sprints and backflips and burpees? Realistically, probably not, right? Like the reality is you can do pretty much like the bare minimum and still constantly progress. It just takes longer, right? We have to keep that in mind because sometimes we give ourselves expectations like Dennis is like, hey, man, I want to lose 90 pounds in 6 months. Well, then it's like, okay, cool. We can do that. But that means you got to be really consistent, right? And we got to be willing to put in the work for that. Now, if Dennis was like, hey, I'm going to lose 90 pounds in 6 years, it's like, cool, man. Slow and steady wins the race. We got all day, right? There's no rush. So with some of you guys, and it's okay, right? Because it's always good to have goals in mind and try to acquire those goals because we're goal-oriented, just individuals. For some of us, we have goals, right? Let's just say our goal is to, within the next 3 to 6 months, let's just say we want to lose 20 pounds, right? A playing it safe type of goal, but it does have a time frame to it. Now, if let's just say, let me draw this. Lose 20 plus pounds in 12 weeks. Okay. In order to do this, we need to understand a few things, right? For starters, a plan to follow, the right people holding us accountable, and then understanding that we just need to show up, right? Consistency. We can't just talk the talk. We got to walk the walk, right? So, Dennis, we'll use you for an example, okay? In order
Okay.
to create sustainable habits, you have to go around their lifestyle first and foremost, right? Like, this is the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand when it comes to training yourself on how to always be consistent. Because if let's say I'm working 10 hours a day, I have my family, I have all these other things, right? And I'm only giving myself maybe 30 minutes every single day to invest into, working out and eating healthy and all that stuff. You can see that realistically it can be tough, right? We have to learn how to make some adjustments here and there. Can it happen? Can we lose the 20 pounds in 12 weeks? For sure, right? For sure. But we also need to be just understanding that sometimes we just have to push a little bit more in the right direction. Okay. Now, with that being said, Dennis, let's go over your lifestyle and let's just go over this as like, hey, if this is your goals right now to lose 12 or excuse me, 20 plus pounds in the next 12 weeks. So, what I want you to do, Dennis, is tell me, I guess, wake up time. And then let's just go through just a typical, right? On average, like routine. Like, hey, I wake up at this time. I normally have this for breakfast, or I skip breakfast. I try to do this. I try to do this. I'm out the door for work. I'm at work from da 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 da. I'm back home, family time, everything like that under the sun. Give me the rundown.
All right. So basically in the morning, first thing I do is when I wake up at 4:45, I come into the living room or go down to my workout room in my basement and I do my 100 push-ups, my 100 sit-ups. I come upstairs, I get out my overnight oats that I put in the night before and my protein shake. And then I go jump in the shower. When I get out of the shower, brush my teeth, comb my hair, all that stuff. Come back in there, drink my protein shake, and eat my oats, and leave for work to be at work by 5:45.
Perfect. So 5:45 a.m. work.
Yep.
Okay. So now let's go over, and I know you're a dog because I always see you doing push-ups on these Zoom calls when you're at work.
Yep.
Right.
Every
So
break, I get 3 breaks a day: lunch, my morning break, and my evening break. And I will do anywhere from 50 to 75 push-ups on those breaks.
beautiful. Okay. And let's just say now after work, right? What time are you clocking out, or what time are you going home?
I usually go home around 4 o'clock.
Okay, 4 p.m. And then what? Is it dinner with the family? Is it another workout? Is it what happens after when you come home?
Okay, 4 p.m. I got about a 25-minute drive home. I stop, pick up my youngest son, come home, usually get him started on his homework. While he's doing that, sometimes he'll come down to the gym with me and he'll do his homework while I'm doing my workout. I try to get my workout knocked out. And then I
As
come
soon as you come
upstairs and
home?
start dinner. Huh?
As soon as you come home, you try to do your workout?
Yes. Because if I don't, a lot of times what ends up happening is with Jackson's sports or my oldest son's now staying with us, his stuff that he has to do, and my wife wanting to go here or there, it usually ends up my workout gets pushed to the side, and I'm not okay with that.
Okay. And then dinner afterwards?
Yes.
And then what time is sleep?
Sleep is usually, I know you guys see me on here posting. So sleep's usually, I go to bed around 11:15.
Oh man, I was expecting like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. from you. So, okay, cool. So this is great. This is what I like to say is the template, the skeleton, the blueprint. Like guys, when it comes down, and just so you know, today's presentation is all about creating sustainable habits. That's it, right? Sustainable habits. Okay. And we're going to go over all the fat loss habits, all that stuff in a second. And it's literally just drag and drop, small little pivots here and there, and then giving yourself confidence to say, okay, hey, I just got to follow through with this. Okay. But you need this. If you don't have this right here, it doesn't honestly matter what the goal is, because like this is the reality. This is something that, hey, it's your schedule, unless you're going to make some changes, right? Which you can, but just keep in mind, guys, anytime you're making a change to anything, it might work out good if life is easy, when there's no stress, no curveballs, no challenges. But hey, that's not the life that I live. I live in the life where, hey,
100%.
yeah, like right, exactly, right. Unexpected events come. So it's like when you have a routine to follow and you can make small little tweaks, small little adjustments within that set routine, you're going to be better off to be consistent, because that is how you reach your goals. Consistency. You need to say, okay, out of these 7 habits, how can we implement them into this routine? That's it. Okay. And then we're going to get into more specifics about like coaching and, obviously holding you guys accountable, because that matters, right? At the end of the day. But this right here is a big part to somebody staying consistent. Because remember, if I wasn't, or Dennis or anybody on this call wasn't having a day where, or a life, or a season of life where they're not faced with curveballs, they're not faced with adversity, they're not faced with stress, it'd be very easy for anybody to do anything. But that's not life. Life's going to throw curveballs constantly. So what we need to figure out is this part right here. Dennis, you're pretty consistent always with calories and macros. So
Yeah.
like we don't need to talk too much about that. For the sake of this being on YouTube and podcast, I will just briefly go over this, right? And then we'll dive more into the habits that you could be doing that go in line with this. So Actually, I'll make this fun, right? More entertaining. So, Dennis, right? Like, you've been very consistent. Actually, let's walk on down through memory lane. That'd be fun. Dennis, when we had our very first conversation, when you were sitting in your truck, right?
Yep.
4+ years ago, how many calories were you eating back then at 290 pounds?
Anywhere from 13 to 1500, sometimes under 1,000.
Yeah. And do you remember what I told you?
You told me that I have completely wrecked my metabolism.
And then I think fast forward the following day, you shot me over a text message with the menu for Red Robin. I scanned it over. I told you what to order from there because you didn't believe me that I do things like that. And then that built your
Yeah, I
trust.
actually test.
What you're breaking up a little bit. What'd you say?
I said I actually told you. I said this is a test to see if you're real.
Yeah, yeah. And I passed the test. Dennis got signed up
Yep.
the following week. And then within the 6 months, lost the 90 pounds, got off his medications. But Dennis, when you lost that weight, right? When you first got signed up, were you eating 1,300 to 1,500 calories?
Yeah, when I first got signed, like after I signed up.
Yeah, yeah. Like
No.
you're now a Heartletics member.
Yep. I was not eating. I was not eating 1,500. You actually started me off with 1,800, which made me feel like I was going to get sick.
And then did we continue to go up?
I went up the first 2 weeks. After that, I drastically started dropping.
Yeah. No, I meant, did we ever go up with the calories with you?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So you guys can see, right, for the sake of this, right, sometimes more food equals more fat loss. Okay. You guys, right, that's on this coaching call. You guys obviously know that. I teach you guys like day one of that. Hey, you're going to eat more food. You're going to feel full. You're going to feel bloated. It's okay. Just assign your metabolism is slow. Give it some time, 2, 3 weeks in the books. Boom, right? You'll be good. But that all boils down to the calories and macros. Okay. Eating plentiful for your body type. Dennis, just a yes or no question. Is it hard to hit your calories? Is it hard to hit your macros inside of this routine right now that you're following?
No.
Okay, perfect. For anybody else, right, that's either on this call or watching this, maybe on YouTube or listening on Spotify, break down first. Why is it difficult? Okay. Is it the calories? Well, okay. Why is it difficult to hit your calories? Well, that could be a multitude of things. Either one, maybe you're not tracking your calories. Obviously, it's going to be way more difficult because you're just throwing spaghetti up on the wall and hoping and praying something sticks. Maybe it's the simple fact of like we're under eating, we're guesstimating like, oh, I'm eating in a calorie deficit, but maybe we're completely under eating, like how Dennis was, once again, it's not good at all. Maybe we're good on the calories, but maybe we're missing out on our protein. So then we can just identify with our morning routine, right? Like, what can we do? Maybe waking up and then maybe as we're doing the 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, like how Dennis is doing, if Dennis was low on the protein, I would recommend, man, hey, man, have a protein shake and just sip on that in between each set. Very, very small tweak, guys. But guess what? Like getting an extra, 30 to 50 grams of protein, that might dramatically help somebody lose 20 pounds in the next 12 weeks, right? Why? Because they're consistent with it. I don't want you guys to think of a day to day. I want you to think over a week to week, month over month type deal. So it's like, hey, it's not just 30 extra grams of protein on one day, but it's like realistically 30 times 7, right? Times another 30 for 30 days in the month, etc. You continue to do math that way. You start off small, right? The micro, and then you get into more of the macro. Now, Dennis, let's go into strength training. Okay. So in terms of the workouts, and this is where like the coaching aspect is going to come in handy because
Okay.
when it comes down to coaching you guys, it's a two-way street. And this is also for like self-coaching or self-accountability where you're like, okay, hey, I want to progress. I want to do all this, but I got to kind of figure out, right? Like, what is the driving force? Now, for me, Dennis, right? Like, as your coach, right? My job is to push you, but my job is to never push you to where what you're doing is outside of this realm. Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
like, if I'm like, hey, man, I want you running sprints and doing backflips and burpees, all at 5 a.m. before breakfast. You might be like, bro, I can't do sprints. I'll crush the backflips and burpees, but I ain't doing any sprints, Joe. I just can't do it. And then that would be like, okay, then hey, right, we got to change things up a little bit. Okay. So for you, right, let's push you. This is a form of coaching, this is a form of accountability, which all goes hand in hand to helping you stay consistent. Where do you feel like, knowing your schedule, where do you feel like you can push more? And I just want to hear your answer before I say anything.
Definitely with the sleep and recovery.
With the sleep and the recovery? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go there in a second, because that
Okay.
is something I do want to talk about, but I'll go there in a second. Let's just say, right? Like if you weren't consistent with your workouts, if you weren't consistent with your sparring training, like where do you feel like you can push more if you weren't doing the workouts?
If I wasn't doing the workouts,
Yeah, like let's just say, Dennis, for the sake of this, like you had on your calendar tab 5 workouts a week, and maybe you're only doing 3. So it's like, hey, you're showing up a little bit, but not necessarily the best that you probably could.
yeah, I mean, I could probably pull more time, and I can actually probably lift heavier if I actually signed up for a gym, because I'm pretty much at the end of what my weights here at the house have.
Okay. So I mean, and that's a good thing to talk about for another call.
Yep.
Um, so with that being said, right, like take a look though. Is there a way? Is there an opportunity? Because it sounds like, hey, when you leave work, you're going home, you're picking up Jackson, you guys are doing your homework while you're also working out and making dinner.
Yep.
So is there anywhere in your schedule, anywhere in your routine where you can actually have the time to go to the gym?
Um, I could push. I could flip flop some stuff in the morning probably and hit a morning workout. I feel, because I could actually change my schedule a little bit at work, since I'm a manager. I have that ability. I just like to get there so that I can get everything up and going for all my people.
Yeah. Okay. So you got options right now, which is good.
Yep.
So I would say this, right? Maybe sign up for a week pass somewhere or a few day pass and test it, implement it. Because obviously, like, remember, when life is not stressful, when life is not throwing you challenges, it's very easy to do anything. So it might be very easy for you to make a small little rotation in your morning routine to make it to the gym to get better results, right? Lifting heavier weights, obviously a lot more equipment at your disposal, bada boom, bada bing. But who knows, right? Maybe in, let's say, next month or the following months, life might throw you a curveball. Life might throw you a test where that morning workout routine at the gym ain't going to fly anymore. So that's where
Yeah.
it's like, you got to do some self-evaluation and just say, okay, hey, does this make sense? And if so, like, let's test it out. Okay. But that's good. No, I like where your head's at with all that. So let's just say for the sake of this one though, to once again help the viewers that might be listening, let's just say the 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups you slept in. Okay, just for the
Okay.
sake of this, and then we'll go into the
Okay.
recovery. Um, so I would say from you, it's like, hey, what are you doing between 4:45 when you wake up to you're eating breakfast around, whatever time this is before you go to work. Okay, and let's just say you're
Yeah.
like, oh, man, I want to do something, but just tired. Sometimes I sleep in or anything like this. This is where it's so important to make sure that you have the right people in your corner for coaching and accountability, right? Because the coaching is the pushing. So that's where it's a heart to heart conversation that Dennis and I are about to have right now. And it just boils down to, how bad do you actually want to have the success of reaching this goal? Like, is reaching this goal more important than sleeping in? For some people, that's hard to ask these questions and answer these questions, right? Because they have to come to a reality check. For other people, it might be a little bit easier. Like, oh, yeah, I just didn't see it that way. And what I'm getting at with all this, guys, is that your routine matters, obviously, but you also have to see, where can you push yourself? Like, it's a simple question. What can I do more? Like, if let's say I'm doing 100 push-ups, and in fact, like, there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. I'll share with you a few analogies right now. Let's just say we didn't change up the routine at all with Dennis. Dennis, is there a way to still progress with the 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups in the time frame that you're doing right now?
Yeah.
How can? Test you out a little bit.
Okay. So are you saying like how would I get them done?
Yeah, exactly. So let's just say from like 5 a.m. to 5:30, you're doing 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups. Um, like realistically, and how you're already doing them now, is there a way where you can progress and make it more challenging for you? And we didn't change up anything with the reps, we didn't change up, or maybe we did, but we didn't change up anything with that time frame, right? The morning routine stayed exactly the same, but maybe the intensity amplified a little bit more. Is there anything that you would do?
Yeah, I mean, I could do more in a quicker time frame, like because I do take in between sets, I do take breaks that are a little longer than. I mean, I could push myself a little harder with that.
Perfect. And that's exactly what I was getting at, right? Where it's like,
Hmm.
hey, maybe we're us doing 20 push-ups before taking a little break. Maybe we're now doing 25. Maybe we're now doing 30. Maybe we
Okay.
want to add something else in here. Like maybe in between our push-ups and sit-ups, we're also jumping rope, right?
Okay.
Maybe we're whatever the case may be. And the reason why I'm sharing all this with you guys is because if we went back to Dennis's routine right here, and then we'll go into the recovery because I know we're getting to the end, Dennis. But if we didn't have to make any big modifications, not big changes at all to calories, macros, anything really, anything with the time frame of his schedule, but if let's just say we pushed a little bit harder in this small little slither, this is realistically what's going to happen, right? Week one, he might see some more progression, right? But what's going to happen? It's called compound interest, right? So maybe week two comes a little bit more, week three, a little bit more, week four, a little bit more. And it's just a snowball effect. The more you're progressing, the more you're doing, the better results that you're going to have, the more consistency. Now, if let's just say Dennis is like, okay, hey, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do these push-ups and sit-ups within that time frame and all that stuff, but I'm going to go to gym instead. This is realistically how this scale might look. Instead of it being like week one, week two, week three, right, with having these progression blocks, these actually might be shorter, right? Or they might be higher up because obviously he's lifting more weights, he's pushing himself a little bit more. So, this right here, the climb or the growth, I like to say, this can only happen, guys, if it makes sense here, where you can add it in. Because if let's say Dennis decides to go to the gym, right? And let's just say the first week he's crushing it, third week crushing it, he's seeing all this progression, gains, gains, gains. Boom, all of a sudden hurts his shoulder, right? He might be here now. And then it's like now all of a sudden there's a huge dip, a huge drop off. And then obviously, Dennis, people try to go back to where they were, they lose the steam, they lose the momentum, they fall off the wagon, right? All hell breaks loose.
Yep.
So that's
Yep.
why it's like you always want to start off small. But the reason
It
why I'm
has to be
telling
sustainable.
exactly 100%, everything boils down to this presentation is consistency, sustainability, coaching, accountability. That's really what it boils down to. And your routine, your habits.
Yep.
So let's get lastly to the recovery part because that's going to help you out, Dennis, as well as if anybody's dealing with any form of recovery where they're like, all right, I need to, prioritize this a little bit more. I think it's going to help them out. Okay. So you go to sleep around what, 11:15 and you wake up around 4:45. So what is that? 6.5?
My watch usually says I average about 5 hours and 45 minutes a night,
Okay.
and I very rarely hit REM sleep.
And I actually love the fact that we're talking about the recovery because you guys, Jeff G, I'm about to throw you on the spot for the hot seat next. You guys know I love talking about hitting your protein goals, smashing weights, and all that stuff, but the recovery is so ideal, right? Jeff, if let's say Dennis is crushing it with his workouts, crushing the nutrition, crushing it at home with his family, crushing it, at work with his career, but he's only sleeping on average 5 hours, 5.5, what is going to eventually happen to his body?
Is it gonna plateau because he's not giving his body the recovery time he needs to
Yeah.
maintain that training schedule?
Yep. Yep. He's going to spike his cortisol levels, pretty much hit the stall. This happens with everybody. This is actually, like, in case you guys don't know, the number one reason why people hit a plateau or hit a stall is because two things. It has very rarely anything to do with you need to change up the whole entire workout routine, change up the whole entire, nutrition plan that you follow. Very little has anything to do with that. The main reason why people stuck and they don't see the progression that they want is either one, they lack the consistency, right? Meaning they're only doing the right things that they should be doing maybe 5 times out of 7 times, right? You can see how, like, once again, we're lacking that consistency out of those 2 days. The second is the fact that they're not prioritizing enough of the sleep and the recovery. Because remember, like, that's a huge aspect to all of this. So, Dennis, if you're getting on average, right, 5.5 right now hours of sleep, what we need to figure out is how do we focus on improving that? Because going back to your routine right now, if we can make a small little adjustment, and if let's say we didn't do anything with the push-ups, we didn't do anything with the sit-ups, we didn't do anything with going to the gym in the morning, can we still make an adjustment here? And would that be able to help us out? Short answer, yes,
Yes,
100% that
absolutely.
would, yeah. Like if we're getting 5 hours of sleep and we're able to sleep more, we're doing everything you're doing, you will see significant changes, right? Because your cortisol level is going to drop so much. So now what we need to figure out is what I know your morning routine is, what is your evening routine? And let's just break down the specifics. So we'll start after the workout. Let's just say you're eating dinner. What time do you eat dinner at?
It's usually around 6:30.
Okay. Done around what, 7 o'clock ish?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
Okay. So we need to figure out between 7 and 11 p.m. What happens then?
Okay. So usually then I'm either practicing baseball with Jackson or uh, trying to help my oldest son restore his truck
Okay. I just put in here.
till about 10:30 or so, and then I go take a shower, and then I do my coaching. I do the post inside the community group and all that stuff. Get everybody's name that did their things, and I post my solid work post.
Okay. So you're helping out with the family until 10:30,
Yep.
shower, cleaned up, Heartletics, and then after that, sleep at 11:15.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let's go into this. Um, just by looking at this and going off what we already talked about from this conversation, if you did, right, Dennis, happen to get a gym membership, and if it was sustainable for you to go to the gym in the mornings, realistically, you get off at 4 p.m., there is no working out. So do you think that working out aspect, because you already did in the morning, obviously, right? Do
Yeah.
you think you could swap that out with maybe instead of working out now when you get home to either play catch with Jackson or help out with your other son with his car?
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, and let's just say that saves us just 1 hour, right? 1 hour of our time to where now this shower becomes 9:30. And then
Okay.
what if this sleep we round down, right? For the just sake of this, right? Sleep is normally around 11. And if we had to save an extra hour, now just say we're at 10. And let's just
Okay.
say that this 4:45, we round up to 5 a.m. Right? Well, guess what, man? You just significantly went up, right? From 5.5 to 7 hours.
Okay.
And seven
Yeah.
hours is ideal, right? 7 to 9 hours, that's what you guys want, right? That's going to help you when it comes to, because remember, you can push yourself all you want in the gym, you can destroy your muscles all you want, but if you're not going to recover properly, you're never going to see the results. So understanding that is what can we do here? And so I want to put ball in your court now, Dennis.
Okay.
Small little tweaks, right? That's all we did was make. We didn't change up the workout routine. We didn't change up the nutrition. We didn't do anything, honestly. All we did was just make small little pivots. But based on those pivots that we made to your current routine, do you think this might be something that you can actually implement and test out?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Okay. I mean, is any of this like hard where you're like, oh man, like, I don't know, Joe, like, I really like sleeping
No,
at,
not at
I
all.
really like showering at 10:30 at night.
No, I mean, none of it seems like it would be that big of a stretch for me to pull it off.
Perfect. Because going back, guys, to this, the goal, right? Whether it's lose 10 pounds, lose 20 pounds, lose 30 pounds, whatever the goal is, right? What matters the most is consistency. Okay. We talked about that. You have to be consistent. If the routine was like this, but there was no daily habits, there was no nutrition, there was no strength training, there was no the steps. Dennis, how many steps do you get on average, right? Like 12,000, 15,000
Yeah,
easy?
like 12,000, anywhere from 12 to 15.
Yeah. So if let's say Dennis wasn't getting the steps, Dennis wasn't eating, right? Like maybe he was eating back like how he was 800 calories before he got signed up, and Dennis wasn't sleeping properly, you can see how Dennis's health is going to downward, right? Go in the wrong direction. But you guys can see also that not by making a lot of adjustments, but by making small little tweaks, it can significantly make a world of a difference. And like, this is what I really want you guys to understand, okay? Because the coaching aspect is the pushing. It's the, hey, Dennis, can we realistically do more if this is the only adjustments that we can make right now? Or, hey, Dennis, can we push? Hey, Dennis, can we hit this? Like, it's the asking, it's the guidance, it's the also making sure that it's sustainable for you. Like, I don't want to say, hey, Dennis, like, let's push and, bench press, right? 225 pounds. And you're like, I just don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, we're not going to do that. It's not going to happen, right? So it all comes down to that. The accountability piece helps with the consistency, right? Because now it's like, hey, Dennis, right? We're here, we're talking about this. Jason Elder might be on this call or Coach Mike. And let's say in 4 weeks from now, hey, Dennis, did you ever sign up for that gym membership that you talked about? Oh, I forgot about that. Well, I should probably do that. Well, yeah, man, if you did, do you think that also might help you get more sleep? Okay, yes, it would, right? So if the more sleep, do you think that's going to help you lose more weight? Yes, right? So sometimes these simple things, right, like accountability, somebody just asking you the right questions to make sure that you just stay on the right track, you know? Well, when it comes down to all this, guys, it always boils down to two simple Heartletics principles, if you want to call it that, which is consistency is key, progression over perfection.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, if let's just say Dennis couldn't stick with this, I could give Dennis the best workouts in the world, the best nutrition plan to follow in the world, and say, Dennis, within 12 weeks, you're gonna lose like 75 pounds. You're gonna get six-pack abs. You'll be like, on a men's health and fitness magazine. But if Dennis literally cannot do the workouts, cannot follow it because it does not correlate with his schedule, what's the point? Right? Like that's why like the best things to be doing is honestly whatever is sustainable for your lifestyle. That's the best things because you can consistently stick with it over time. Um, that's honestly what it boils down to, guys, is figuring out your lifestyle, figuring out your schedule, and then figuring out what adjustments can make to that, and just making sure that you're showing up each and every day. And for the sake of what I'm getting at, guys, Michael Jordan became the best in the world from doing what? The basics. That's it. Did he do backflips and burpees every time he dunked a basketball, before he dunked a basketball, or spin around like a ballerina and shoot a ball? No, he literally just did the basics. But he excelled because he said, okay, if my job is to put the ball in the hoop, as simple as that, right? How can I do it better? How can I do it more effective? So if your job is to push yourself more in the workouts, because it's all about energy balance, right? You guys know I hate with a passion when people say calories in versus calories out. It is the dumbest thing in the world, but I will 100% agree about energy balance. The energy that's exerting from your body and the energy that you're bringing into your body. I'm a big believer in that, right? So when it comes down to that, is there something that you can do to push yourself to exert more energy? Maybe that's with more steps. Maybe that's with more workouts. Maybe that's with something that's, once again, physically pushing you. Or is there a way where we can stop more energy from coming in, i.e., be more consistent with our nutrition, dial into our, diet a little bit more, That's what it boils down to. MJ status, become the great. Hey, master the basics. You guys want to get six-pack abs, chiseled chest, right? Best life ever, mentally and physically. Master the basics. And the basics, guys, is honestly those 7 essential fat loss habits. It's not the backflips and the burpees. It's not the squats and the deadlifts, right? Because I don't do any of that stuff either. But I'm very consistent at showing up each and every day. Michael Jordan was very consistent with showing up each and every day. Kobe Bryant was very consistent at showing up each and every day. Every greatest athlete, right? What they master is consistency. You are an athlete. right? You might not be dunking a basketball or throwing a football or hitting a baseball, but it does not matter, right? You're an athlete, which means that, hey, what is a true athlete? It's somebody that's trying to push themselves always and constantly focus on progression and be a light for others and inspire others to also do the same. That's what it boils down to, in my opinion, what an athlete means, right? If we can watch the greats on TV, who's to say that your kids can't watch you guys progress on your own health and fitness journey and also be inspired? It's exactly the same. So the biggest takeaway before we end is consistency is key. Find obviously the right form of accountability that's going to hold you consistent to that, and make sure that either you have that form of accountability, whether it's self accountability, asking yourself some daily questions, how can I push myself more? Or realistically, get yourself involved with a coach or a community of people that are also going to push you. Combine the two, recipe for success.